Hello, welcome to Liverpool Express. I wanted to sort of have the opportunity to have a discussion with you, with the public in Liverpool, about news and views from me about things that have happened during the week, and I want to try and do that on a regular basis just so you can get an update about what's going on. As I said, not just in terms of decisions getting made, but things that might be happening or the reasons why we've took some decisions. So we'll look at what we call that, but it's more or less my views and news about what's going on. Just a couple of things that have been going on. It's been a really busy week, but things that I think you should know about. There's been a lot of coverage about combined authority and what that really means. Well, the combined authority is a way, if you like, of formalising the arrangements between St Helens, Halton, Knowsley, Whittle and Sefton and ourselves. And it's a formalised way of doing things together, doing things differently in terms of regeneration, possibly education, certainly transport, and some of the big ticket things, some of the big spend issues, trying to work together to achieve a better economies of scale. It gives us the opportunities to do all of that. It also gives us the opportunity to draw down powers and resources from central government, which is crucially more important for the city region. And I think it will give us the opportunity to work closer and better together. So that was one of the things that we've decided to do this week. It goes to central government, and central government have to ratify the process and the procedures and the details of it. And then it will come back to full council sometime next year. And hopefully we'll have a city region combined authority running in March next year. Something that I was really proud of this week that took place over the last couple of days. The culture team and our cruise liner team and our events team have all worked really hard to bring the CLEAR conference, which is the Cruise Liner Industries Conference, to Liverpool. 450 delegates representing some of the cruise operators and the big hitters in the cruise industry. People come from America, Canada, Australia, China, Japan, lots of countries abroad, to our city. So it was great the fact that they come here. We worked really hard, the Arena and Convention Centre staff and all the team together. We worked really hard to bring them to Liverpool. Of course, what that meant was it was a great opportunity for us to showcase the city and to talk to people about the things that are going so well in the city, because of course what we want to try and do is get more cruisers coming into the city. It's my ambition to grow the tourism sector within the city, to create jobs and create opportunities, and they were delighted to be here. They went to St George's Hall for an evening dinner, and of course they attended the Arena and Convention Centre, walked around Liverpool One, the Albert Dock, and seeing what a wonderful city it is. So I was delighted with the response that we got from people who attended the conference, and hopefully they will go back and put Liverpool on the schedule of ports to visit during next year's cruise season and the year after, to put Liverpool firmly on the cruise liner map. So that was a great event, and really proud to welcome them and be part of that debate about the future of cruise liners coming to Liverpool. I decided to trial a period where we had no bus lanes to see how it goes. I keep saying that I believe it causes congestion and more problems than it actually solves. So just a reminder, it's going to be a 9-month trial period. I have to say I've been absolutely overwhelmed with responses, and it's probably somewhere around about 90% in favour. And I noticed the Liverpool Echo had a poll running where it was 70%, 30% in favour, which backs up sort of, if you like, what I'm hearing myself. It was strange, therefore, to see in the Liverpool Echo, out of 4 people they chose, 3 of them were against it. I don't believe people are against it. I think the majority of people are in favour. But I keep telling you, and I keep reminding people, it's a trial. If it doesn't work, I'm big enough to accept that, and we'll turn it back and put the lanes back in place again. But I believe it will work, and let's just see in 9 months' time whether it does or whether it doesn't. One of the other issues that I wanted to talk to you about on a more serious note is that I had the council meeting, a full council meeting in the city on Wednesday, where I spoke to people about the budget and the serious challenges that we face. And I know recently I said I wanted to try and keep you involved and in touch with what's going on. And I really mean that. I intend to try to not only tell you as it is in terms of the dire situation that we're in terms of the finances of the city. I don't want to do that in a way to scare you. I really need you to understand the difficult decisions and dilemma that we face. But I really want your input and your say, and you to have a say in how things should be done. And so we're looking at how we can do that. We did a thing in the past called Have Your Say, where you were able to look at the picture of the City Council's finances and decide where you felt were the priorities and important things that we spend money on. But I actually, when I had the debate in the council chamber on Wednesday, I spoke to people about, as I said, the serious challenges that we face. And you know, people said it really hit home how tough it's going to be over the next few years within the city. And I just need to just remind people the fact that, you know, over the last 3 years, we've took out £171 million in terms of savings. We've lost 1,600 jobs. That's how many jobs. 1,600 jobs we've lost in the city during that time. We've now got to find £150 million over the next 3 years. For me, it really is, I think, one of the most toughest challenges the city's ever faced in its history, because we've got, you know, as I said, finishing that £171 million cuts over the 3 years, got very little by way of surplus or fat to cut now, and it's a question of looking at what do we do next. And the reality is that we need to split up what we do into two sections. That's the mandatory things, that's the things that we have to do, we're required to do. And what we call the discretionary things, that's the things we don't need to do, but we do them. And we've got to separate them out and look at the money that we spend on the mandatory requirements and the spend that we spend in terms of on the discretionary requirements. But if we carry on as we are now with the funding cuts from central government, and let me be clear about this, we're only in the position that we're in terms of having to make those cuts because of the government. Okay, that's the reality of the life we face. It's because of government cuts. Let me be absolutely clear in that part. At £150 million is an enormous challenge, and we can't carry on doing the things that we do. I've said that time and time again, and I suppose you're sick and tired of hearing me say that, but the reality is, now comes the hard part, because we've got to deliver on that. If we carry on as we are doing for the next 2 years, we will actually be bankrupt in the city. To do the mandatory things that we require, just the mandatory things, not the discretionary things like libraries and leisure centres and those things, but just to carry on doing the mandatory things that we require. If we carry on doing them as we do now, in 2 years' time we'll be bankrupt. That's how serious the situation is. So we've got no choice other than to do things. This government aren't listening to us, and despite our efforts to try and get them to understand the plight and the position that we're in, they're just, you know, turning a blind eye and not worrying about us and just letting us get on with it. But that means, you know, we've got to take action, and take action now. So for me, it means actually telling you and putting forward to you some of the things that we're looking at doing. I'm taking a report to next Friday's cabinet meeting, which actually points out and highlights the seriousness of where we are. And once people, I believe, understand and see that, they'll hopefully realise that we have got to make those changes and do things quite quickly. And that's where, as I said, I'll come back to you and talk to you about that, about how you can engage yourself in the debate. It's not going to be a debate that I'm looking forward to, because I know people will not want us to cut any further. But the reality is that I keep reminding people that 80% of the money that we spend in this city, 80% of it, is actually taken from central government. Central governments actually say, as they do to other cities, here's an amount of money. The money that we get from central government makes up 80% of our spend. The other spend that we get in comes from, for instance, car parking charges, from licence fees, and from some of it from business rates and our council tax. That's the money that we get in. It makes up 20% of what we spend. That's the reality of life. And if government take away 50% of that money, it means that we've got to live with that. We've got to get on with trying to resolve and sort out how we manage that. But let me just as well remind you, I know it's talking in percentages and it's difficult to understand, but 70% of all the money that we spend in the city, all of the money that we spend in the city, 70% of that actually goes on adult social care, children's social care and schools. So the other 30% of that money, these are the things that we call the discretionary, are things, as I said, that we've got to decide whether we do or not. And it really is as simple as that. But because of the savings, because of the size and the scale of the savings that we've got to make, even those areas of adult social care, children's social care and schools, that budget is also going to be affected. We're going to try to do our very best to make sure that that's not the case. And hopefully, we will be able to try and protect as much of services as we can. But I keep saying, this city can never operate in the way it's done in the past and have the same level of services as it's done in the past. So that report goes to Cabinet next Friday. It will be debated and discussed, and we'll be certainly bringing it to Council as well for people to see. We're going to be calling a conference with our workforce. We're going to have a mass meeting with our workforce to discuss it with them sometime probably in November, and also with schools, the voluntary sector, the community sector, the business sector and everybody else in the city, so they can understand the predicament that we face and the challenges that we face ahead of us. So we'll keep in touch and we'll show you how we're going to manage the process in terms of having your engagement, because we do, as I said, keep wanting to listen to you about what you believe are the right things for us to do. But I just wanted to make it really clear to you how serious the situation is for us as we head over the next few months. So I'll come back and give you some information about those options, and I'll do that probably as early as the end of next week.